Hello, I'm Dr. David Sparks, and I'm here to talk to you about sleep, or the lack thereof. Just think about our obsession with sleep. Down deep inside, we all know that a good night's rest makes us feel so good. Doesn't happen if you snore heavily or have sleep apnea, believe me. Ever think about how many ads you see on TV or hear on the radio, maybe see on billboards, for mattresses or fancy beds that go up and down and are so expensive? I even hear all kinds of ads for luxurious and expensive sheets that are supposed to make you sleep better. How do all those businesses stay in business? Well, they're playing on the fact that people are dying to get a good night's sleep. But that will not happen if you snore heavily or have sleep apnea. So even though you know that a good night's sleep is essential to feeling bright, alert, and energetic the next morning, that won't happen, once again, if you snore heavily or have sleep apnea. Think about the following words: rejuvenate, revitalize, reboot, regenerate, renew, resuscitate, refresh. All those words meaning a fresh start, and that's what good sleep does. But you might be very surprised why. It turns out that when you are sleeping, the brain, which is a mega electrical generator governing every psychological and physical function of the body with electrical signals, goes through some very specific programs during sleep. Literally programs, like computer programs. These programs change quite dramatically on a regular basis during sleep, about every 2 hours. Specifically, there are about 5 different sleep programs that the brain cycles through approximately 4 times per night, given that you sleep for 8 hours, which, by the way, is heavily recommended. You may have heard people say that sleep is overrated. Believe me, it is not. And here's why I'm making a point about the brain going through different programs while we sleep. Each of the 5 brain sleep programs are associated with the generation and release of specific hormones. That's right. Program 1, for example, creates specific hormones. Program 2 creates specific hormones that are different from Program 1. And so it goes through the continuous cycle of 5 sleep programs. During this series, we're going to learn why you may or may not be able to lose weight. You're grumpy. You have memory problems on a daily basis. You have trouble staying awake, even while driving. And here's one we men hear all the time on TV or radio, usually from some beautiful woman with a sexy voice: sexual dysfunction, or as they say, ED, a nice subtle term for erectile dysfunction. Blue pill time. It turns out that all of these conditions are related to faulty hormone production. Next question: what are hormones? Well, hormones are chemical messengers that travel throughout the body, coordinating complex processes like growth, metabolism, and fertility. They can influence the function of the immune system and even alter behavior. Hormones are the reason why your arms are the same length, why you can turn food into fuel, and why you change from head to toe at puberty. It's thanks to these chemicals that distant parts of the body communicate with one another during elaborate and important events. In response to a signal from the brain, hormones are secreted directly into the blood by the glands that produce and store them. These glands make up what is known as the endocrine system. So how about sleep and weight gain? Belly fat, fat around the hips, thunder thighs, etc. are all related to the brain sleep cycle programs that we have been discussing. So listen to this as an example. Leptin is a hormone released from fat cells. Leptin signals the brain's hypothalamus when we have had enough to eat. But so many people continue to eat even though they're full. Well, people who are overweight have unusually high levels of leptin. Again, that's a hormone. And this is because their brain doesn't respond to leptin. So they keep eating despite adequate food intake. And this is called leptin resistance. One other thing about weight. Cortisol is often called the stress hormone because of its connection to the stress response. Lots of cortisol released into the bloodstream encourages the body to store fat. See if this rings a bell. Symptoms of high cortisol levels include high blood pressure, changes in mood, such as feeling irritable or low, and weight gain. There we go again. So getting back to sleep and weight gain, if you snore heavily or have obstructive sleep apnea, leptin and cortisol levels are dramatically altered in such a way as to produce these unwanted side effects. Okay, so that's a little brush up on some of the most important ways that your body works. What if the hormone that produces muscle mass, or the hormone that produces body fat, or the hormones that affect memory and mood get out of whack? Your quality of life is severely impaired. In our series, we're going to find out in this bunch of talks that if you snore heavily or you have obstructive sleep apnea, life isn't pleasant.